you Ukrainians posting here? It's the same reason that you're not posting on something like VK. Eastern Europeans don't give a shit about American sites like Reddit. They have their own social media platforms. Also, it's the middle of the night there. Edit. Okay, not literally the middle of the night, but it was around 4 to 5 a.m. when this thread was originally posted. As a Ukrainian who left a year before the annexation and now lives in Canada, the hostilities between Russians and Ukrainians here in Canada was insane. I too am guilty of it, but at the time me and many others were frustrated at people who had nothing to do with the process just because they were Russian. Though I have no stories about the Crimean annexation, a close friend of mine had moved to Donbass, a state in civil war now in Ukraine. At the same time I left to Canada, though I still visit Ukraine every year. Watching the news is almost completely depressing. It is always either talking about the civil war skirmishes that happen every day or about how people are emigrating. Can we realistically expect honest answers? It's an interesting question, but feels pointless to just ask. Multiple accounts post the same positive comment under pro answers. This is the kind of answer I've been looking for. You, Depreche. You, to underscore the underscore 10th underscore power. Dozens of people addicted to heroin died because Russia killed substitution treatment centers. Methadone. Not a Crimean myself, but my cousin lives there now. Lots of stuff is blocked or banned. Payment systems, sites, you name it. So mirrors and VPN are needed everywhere basically. In general, they're saying that both sides are shit. But Russia is at least pumping crazy amount of money into the region right now. In comparison to Ukraine, still, they never liked any of the two. My best friend is from there. He's really bitter. His family had a bit of money and they invested it in the community and it all came up to nothing. He frames it as if they believed in the Ukrainian people and were let down. Since then his family fled and never returned. I'm a Ukrainian living in Kiev. One of my closest friends is from Crimea but lives next block to me. When the annexation started he went ahead and joined a Man Scouts type of organization where they teach you survival and ranger skills as well as provide shooting range practice. This organization has seen a resurgence for obvious reasons. He says he needs the training in case he will have to protect his home or get his family home back. Friend's son was born around the same time 5 years ago in Kiev while my friend's parents still live in Crimea. To show them their grandson he embarks on an annual quest to get back into Crimea. Since his birthplace is there he gets double-checked at the border and the Russian officials ask him why he hasn't received a Russian passport yet since they believe he's a Russian citizen now. They still think it's like a feudal system if your land goes under control of a different lord. You belong to that lord now. He doesn't like talking about the current situation in Crimea and says most people there prefer to mind their own business and do not participate in any civil activities whether they support Ukraine or Russia. It's safer that way. My cousin was in the Ukrainian army and stationed in Crimea when the annexation happened. He was married to a local girl, half Russian and half Tatar, and had a daughter. His wife convinced him to switch sides because she did not want to flee to Ukraine. My cousin is a traitor now. If he ever goes back he will be arrested and in prison. I have not spoken to him in 5 years and I don't think I ever will. He switched sides as a soldier and broke his oath while people I grew up with volunteered to assist the army and died to defend Ukraine. My uncle, My favorite grown-up relative when I was a kid. Father of this cousin had a stroke and is half paralyzed now. I went to visit him last fall. He will not see his son or his granddaughter before his death, and it pains him greatly. We did not talk about that. We did not mention the cousin even once because I don't want to increase his suffering. So yeah, things have changed. I legitimately wanted to know the answer to this. Maybe a serious tag would help. I'm a Ukrainian living in Germany. My mom remarried, but he didn't want to stay in Germany and instead moved to Crimea. Crimea has always been the tourist spot for Russians and Ukrainians alike. The climate is very healthy. The sights are cool and the place has the comfortable flair of a seaside resort. Living there is still comfortable. No question, daily life didn't seem to have changed much. However, since the peninsula made its money mostly with tourism before and BC now coming from the Ukrainian side has become very hard. It's being majorly funded by the Russian government. And since the world, and especially the local politics, has an eye on Crimea, it's getting great funding. Many renovation and rebuilding projects going on. Tourism from the Ukrainian side is not really possible. Trains or buses don't pass the border. So if you want to come by them, you'll have to exit and pass the border on foot. Also, flying from Ukraine to Crimea is impossible. There's no flights to Crimea, and passing the border in general is heavily monitored. Going to Crimea could have consequences, even for a civilian. Ukrainian stars who have held concerts on Crimea have later faced stern consequences. I don't think it's officially forbidden, and OFC it's such a popular and common place to have real estate in, that many civilians still go. But there's always a chance that you will get questioned, held up, or somehow scrutinized by the border or later in life. The most comfortable and common way to go is through Russia at the moment. There you won't get into problems, not even with a Ukrainian passport. The tourism from the Russian side only grew, and as far as I know they're working on a massive bridge for cars and trains that connects Russia with Crimea. Since before, there was no direct connection. I think the Crimea thing is way less of a problem than people think. Ukraine is struggling with its own oblasts now. Politically wise, now is the time for anyone who wants a piece of the cake to shine. So politics is fucking insane. Plus the near war-like situations in the east. The shift in the society and in the politics is more of an issue than the inability to visit a vacation spot. Economically, the people also suffer. All in all, life has got very shitty for some, while new opportunities arose for others. No one has it easy, though.